Hello, everybody, and welcome to my Ascension Messages. My name is Bobbie Richardson, and I will be your guide for today. Okay, so today we're going to talk about Beyond the Matrix. Actually, the movie The Matrix. Oh my gosh. I'm going to channel through some information as well, but there's some topics that I've brought up throughout the week, just on the limitations that we've pulled ourselves into and what's beyond that limitation. If we don't start talking about what's beyond the limitation, then how are we going to know where we're actually going in the end? So, The Matrix, the movie, oh my gosh. So that when I first saw it, I was like so encapsulated by the whole movie. And then I met this elder, and the elder from Ohio was talking about the Matrix and said that it is pretty much close to the reality of humanity's consciousness. In other words, just as the leading actor, I've forgotten his name, which I shouldn't. Just as he said, it's really a documentary. And that is because humanity's consciousness has been put on hold for a while so that we could learn everything about this physical world. And due to the fact that if that wasn't to be, if that didn't happen, we would have been meddling in many other frequencies. And so to safe hold the other frequencies, the other higher dimensions, the dimensions that are closer to source energy, that reside in love, to keep them safe, while we were playing within our own right to play in figuring out all about our logical side and our grounding side and this physical world and how far we can push it, we had to be put down in lockdown. Hence the reason in 2020 why there was that reflection of lockdown, because we had now entered into the vortex of moving closer to love or closer to source energy, and straight away smack we came into alignment with the fact that we were in lockdown. So that brought us back to looking inside ourselves, because we had nobody else to turn to, and that stopped us looking outside for validation, although it's still carrying on with a lot of people. But the Matrix in itself in the movie was very potent in the retrospect of Neo, who, if you shift that word around, would be one, and so cleverly done all of this. He was somebody who was representing humanity's consciousness coming back to alignment with one of oneself, which is oneness or God within that resides in oneself. So when he enters the room with oh my gosh, my logical brain's gone stupid trying to remember names. With the oracle, she points to the sign above the door that says to know thyself. To know ourselves, we have to be completely honest with how, not only what's projected in the outside world, but how we feel. In other words, we need to stop lying to ourselves. If there is something that needs healing, we need to face it. We need to stop projecting it outwards to say that it's somebody else's blame. If you're feeling a certain way, there is an issue within you, and you need to keep bringing it back to you to be able to clear it. Otherwise, the more you keep on pointing your finger outside yourself, which these people are just reflecting, you're pointing yourself towards the mirror of that reflection, you will never see or find the actual problem to begin with. Now, the reason why I'm bringing that up is because when we move out of this logical overtake, we are bringing in our intuition or our intuitive side or our feeling side. And to be able to bring that in, we have to know thyself. So we have to know, okay, I'm feeling this way out of a reaction because of what happened in the past, and my logical mind is scared that it's going to happen again. Or I'm feeling this way because I have an actual intuition that I'm clicking into, which is aligning me up to the next stage of where I need to go. And I need to stand up for my truth to say, this is a real thing because I can feel it is real. That is where we're coming into alignment, to know thyself. Then we become, as Neo did, one within ourselves, and he starts to take his power back because he was in delusion or whatever. He didn't want to see the power in himself. And everyone else is starting to see or believing in him, but he didn't believe in himself. And it didn't matter how many people believed in him, how many certificates he got on that wall, how many trophies he had, how many things he won, how high he felt he got in the outside world. It wouldn't matter to you or to him. It's how he felt about himself. He had to find himself. And the value of who he is in this body, in this avatar, is in alignment with oneness, with one. We are all that because we exist in this body, because we have a soul, because we were born and we chose ourselves to be in alignment with this amnesia, this amnesia life, this forgetful life, where we forgot who we truly are and the magnificence that we are. They are bringing me to this lady. I always get her name wrong. Anna Mariozzi or something, very long-winded name. But she ended up having, you can look her up, she had a stroke. And she ended up, no, she didn't have a stroke, sorry. She ended up having 5 tumorous cancers within her. And so she ended up going to hospital, and while she was lying on this hospital bed, she ended up finding out that she could leave her body. And when she left her body, she felt magnificent. She felt free of the encompassing logical brain telling her that she was worthless. And she could actually see more beyond her physical body through the eyes of oneness, seeing all. And that brings me to the crop circle, which has just been put up in UK. I think there was the 26th of July. There was this big eye, because we are learning that we are the all-seeing eye from within us, which is opening up the pineal gland to be able to go further than this limitation of the logical mind only taking charge. So she actually got to experience that by leaving her body and finding out that she was more than who she actually was when she was inside her physical body. But she brought that feeling into her physical body as her own magnificent self, remembering who she was, and she healed her issues so quickly that the doctors were bamboozled. They didn't know what to do with her records, and they ended up, we don't even understand how this has even happened. Like, her whole body was swollen and everything. She was on death's door. The other one that they brought me to, my guides brought me to understand this, was a lady who did have a stroke. Jill Bolt Taylor. So she did a TED talk, and you can look that one up too. I'll see if I can find these links and put them down below later. But Jill Bolt Taylor ended up having this stroke, but she was a neurologist. So she's like, oh, wow, I can find out what having a stroke is like from the inside out while I'm actually having it. I will really look into what's going on with myself. And so she recorded really exactly what was happening. And she found that when her logical brain, her left logical brain, masculine side, which was keeping her grounded in this reality, had the stroke, which means it was out, it's gone, it's not working anymore. She became one with all. So she actually literally saw her hand become the wall. Everything was an illusion, and she became everything because she was everything that was in her reality. She felt magnificent. She called it the land of Lala. She felt she was in a utopia. And that is one side of us. That is the side of us that is the true, authentic self of who we are. It's just that we have pulled ourselves into a limited state of reality to be able to move a body in separation from each other so we can have this fun experience. This is supposed to be a fun experience, supposed to be an adventure. And that's literally what we're going to line ourselves up to next, because we're going to say to our logical brain, okay, you've had too much rain. You need to pull back. You need to shush, because I am worthy of having a fun life. And I'm not going to focus on myself being less than what I actually know I am anymore. So this whole going through the eye and the needle, and we're coming back to ourselves, is literally bringing us back to source energy, alignment, and understanding, or remembering again who we truly are. And then we start to see everyone else as equal as us. We're all gods going on our own journeys. Some have forgotten, some haven't, some know more, that sort of thing. But we're all equal. There's no difference in anyone. So yeah, these are the things that they brought me to help me understand that how to get out of the matrix. But one of the most important things, as I said before, is to never lie to self. If you have something that keeps cropping up in your life and people keep reflecting it, or different people keep reflecting the same sort of issue that makes you feel a certain way, it is the common denominator. It is you that needs to look and address yourself. If somebody comes up to you with something that you get an issue about, and you don't have much feeling about it, it's their issue. You will see that you've healed yourself. You have to learn to know thyself to be able to bring yourself into balance with this feeling side of yourself. Because then when you bring in the feeling side of yourself, you're bringing in telepathy, you're bringing in compassion, compassionate understanding of everything that is around you, and how it feels. And so telepathy starts to become part of that, because you can then tap into a tree and how it feels, an animal, how it feels, and other people and how they feel. And that's why so many are born at the moment that have this empathic awareness. And it's been hard on us because we've been hiding who we are, saying that we're not, that we know something within ourselves, but we're pretending that we don't, because we don't want to stand out in a world that doesn't accept someone who goes through their life feeling through their life, instead of only doing the 5 senses of sight, seeing, sound, touch. So yes, to step out of the matrix, one has to know thyself. So many people, or many that are going on this kind of journey, so to speak, to find themselves and to find their magnificence, have been bombarded by, we could say, very negative encounters, and it could even be spiritual encounters where they feel like they've been attacked spiritually and all that sort of thing. Because when we go into the right hemisphere, we're going into the etheric side of ourselves. And with that, if we go into that with fear of who we are, or fear of the outcome, we will attract something that is opposing that lack within ourselves, or that lack of magnificence. And so we end up having something opposite us that is of power, the same power as what we are, but we have denied. And so we see them as monsters. In other words, we're seeing our magnificence as a monster outside of ourselves, which comes in. So I had to go through exactly that when, years and years and years ago, I had to face off with my own monster within myself. And that ended up being this entity that was constantly bagging me in my dreams and everything. But it's given me this end result where nothing can touch me now, and even in my dreams, because I know myself and I know what my mind is capable of. And I know what my etheric side is capable of. So they did teach me how to help clear those sort of things if you are in that stage. I'm hoping that you're beyond that stage, but I will bring it up a little bit because I might actually do a video of it. But they did teach me that to clear something that was in your house, just to give you a few things. If you do find that there's some odd energy around or something, they said to imagine my house just as I'm sleeping, and then or somebody else's house or whatever. And then they said, imagine rose petals falling in the room that you think this energy is or this entity is, and it will fall around the entity. And then you'll see, okay, there's one in that corner, there's one in that corner. You'll see where they are. If there's no one in the room, they told me to white light it. And that seemed to get rid of it. But the problem is you can do all of this work, but if you don't have control of your thoughts, these things still come in and play games with your thoughts. What are they doing? They're reprogramming your thoughts to think the worst of yourself. It's literally your logical mind telling you there's something outside of you that is more powerful than you, that can control you, and you just allow it to happen. So it's literally asking you to control your logical mind. It's pushing you to control your logical mind. And then once you control that logical mind, you have much more freedom in being able to expand yourself outside of the matrix and go into new possibilities, expand out of the limitations that we've been placed into. Because then you can walk up to or channel through, you can walk up to a location that feels like it's got something icky in it, and you'll know straight away. You can choose from yourself to walk away from that problem or that location, or you can choose to stand there and shine your light and go, no, this isn't my story. You just, I'm just walking through this as if you don't even faze me, that sort of thing. Yeah. Anyway, I'll just see what else there is here. There's so many ways, but we do have to be able to control our logical mind. And we have been taught since we went to school that our logical mind takes precedent over how we feel. Because they keep teaching you their ways of copy and pasting. You have to learn this, how somebody else learnt it. Don't trust how you feel in this moment, even though they wrote that back in a day when this feeling wasn't even existing, or you weren't existing, and you're to copy and paste it and say that you can get an A for that. So we're literally being programmed to use our logical brain way more than how we feel in the moment. And it's how we feel in the moment that actually produces or manifests our next step and our next step and our next step. So if we're feeling in this moment that you're feeling useless because you got a D on your exam paper from copy and pasting something that somebody else told you to do, because you're looking outside yourself and you're only taught to do that, then you will feel the next step is, oh my God, I'm going to have to confirm that I am useless because this is what they told me I am. And so I've accepted it with myself. And so the next thing you do is you go for a job and you fail and you fail and you fail, because you want to confirm to yourself that they were right, because you're not trusting who you are to begin with, to say that they were wrong to give you that exam in the first place. Yeah, it's a backwards world. Like literally, this world has completely turned us into this backwards and coming forwards people. We need to start to address how we feel in every moment and trust that. And also look at ourselves, whether we are reacting, and trust that and work on it. You'll know if it's a reaction because it will keep coming up. And you can move location, you can move house, and you'll still have the same similar story coming at you where someone makes you feel small. And also, reaction because your self-talk is literally telling you you are small, trying trying to confirm to yourself that you aren't that great. Where when you're in alignment with being in the moment, usually in this specific moment, there's nothing actually happening. It's just that your body is used to being in an anxious mode. Your body is used to being anxious. I can literally feel this anxiousness within me from people that do that. That's the problem too with being empathic. You need to know yourself so much that you need to be able to differentiate. There's another word there that I'm not very good at. I really did fail in English, something I have to change within my own mind and concept of how I am. You have to be able to understand who you are compared to other people, especially when you're highly empathic. Because otherwise you will be absorbing their reality and saying it's yours. So to step out of this matrix, to go beyond the limitations, there is much more to explore. But we can't explore all of that etherical world and that understanding of that actually exists in higher frequencies beyond our physical limitations of just sight, seeing and hearing and taste and touch or whatever it is. It is coming from our feelings have to be justified as just as important, which are really the wholeness of who we are, because in each moment we feel a certain way, which makes us in our reality be that way. If we walk out of our house and we're feeling anxious, then hello, everything to us seems like a bit of a fright. Oh my God, that person's coming up to me and they say boo, and the next minute you're like having an overreaction because you're in survival mode. Your body's in survival mode trying to protect you. But if you walk outside and you're feeling really good about yourself, something might come up to you that's exactly the same thing. They could try to give you a fright and you just laugh it off. And that's the difference between, we still could end up getting the things go wrong, but we react different. We're moving through our life differently. You've seen, I'm sure everyone here has seen where somebody overreacts and you can feel it off them and you don't really want to be around them because you're scared you're going to be the one that's going to be persecuted next. Or somebody who's just jovial and really easygoing, you'd rather be around them, right? That's how they magnetize people towards them as well, because they are giving off a feeling of calmness, of peace, of acceptance of themselves and acceptance of their world. And then it brings those people in. So this is how we're stepping out of the matrix. I'm going to read to you what I wrote, though, because this goes even further. Some things will not be found until humanity learns to tap into the intuitive wisdom, equaling this out with any physical evidence found in the material world. But to do this, one has to know thyself, which is what I was just talking about. And then I brought up the matrix. This is because eons ago, civilizations were also etherical in nature, as our understanding through our connection to our soul held only what the logic could call magic, or the ability to bring forth and manifest the imagination into this physical world. So Atlantis and the land of Mu, as well as Lemuria, held such understandings of light solidifying through intention. So that's why beyond the matrix, we can actually go into more magical stuff, more like in the fairy tales, how they had wishes come true, or they had the bippity boppity boos and all that. All those fairy tales, many of them have come from way, 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 way back. And in Atlantis, Lemuria age, but then they're twisted by the logical mind or people in charge wanting to bring us into focusing in on something that we didn't need to focus in on. But there's still magic within those fairy tales. I actually did do a video clip on some of the magic that was hidden within the fairy tales. It's a wee way back. I might put the link in below as well. So once we stop looking for only physical evidence and learn to trust those who hold codes of these times, We will open portals through intentions that bring up more worlds hidden beyond the veil of our limited logical mind. So even those that go into, like Egypt and start digging around and they find specific things, they will find more. I'm going to do a video on that as well, because I want to bring up some of the things that I found out about through my journey about specific topics, like what the stone purse meant and what I was channeling through about that and so forth. So we have to start to listen to those that hold codes of certain things that might just seem like a physical stick, and then they're like, why did they even hold that back in the Egyptian times? But you can feel within you there's something more to do with, but we don't feel into it because we're too scared of the magic that comes with it, because we're afraid of our actual powerful self, our connection to our soul and where that could take us. But it's actually going to free us. What we really need to be afraid of is being held in bondage by the logical mind, telling us that we are useless. That's what we have to be afraid of. or those that we are looking outside ourselves to tell us our self-worth and that sort of thing. Like, that's where the fear game comes in. That's where we are held in this stuck mode, and our soul does not really appreciate it, so it will leave the body sooner than it needs to. That's why in higher vibrations, many of the beings that live there live a lot longer. Why? Because their soul wants to reside in the body that they have, even if it is a bit more etherical and based. But we are learning to bring through more love and understanding of who we are in a more denser physical body. This is what this game is all about, so that we can have even a better adventure on Earth with Gaia. Then we can learn to tap into her, and she can share with us certain magical abilities that humanity's consciousness has forgotten about from eons ago. We can learn to tap into, like I said, the fauna, the plant life, which holds specific codes that humanity can tap into, that we can use to maybe help through certain collective groups and intention, focusing in on certain vines that will work with us to create a home, and certain things like completely beyond the matrix that we are living in. And we're no longer reliant on somebody outside of us to tell us that we have to earn money and be a slave to the system to be able to give them most of the money, that they live in this rich high class mansion, and we are still striving ourselves. But it's because they've learned that they are magnificent, but they've learned to not to they've learned the power of themselves, but they are still looking to control someone outside them, which can also be taken away by the way, because if we all stand up and say no to that, then that falls down. So they are left with looking at themselves as well. So it doesn't matter if you're a perpetrator or a victim, both are meeting each other at the same level of consciousness. And we are, as the people, have been victimized and fallen into being a victim to these perpetrators telling us exactly how we have to live our life, because we have forgotten that we are magnificent within us. There is so much more to be able to expand. And because when we start to connect, and collectively come together, we can actually change this world quite I wouldn't say, like, I was going to say quickly, but then I feel this feeling of it can be an overnight thing, but then we want they're telling me we want a lot more people to come together. So there is a time where the outside reality has to catch up to our inner knowing, or our inner knowing has to actually subside to our logical self and be able to. I'm just seeing where they're going here. There is a certain time frame that they're kind of giving me there, because there is a lot more, this is an actual evolution of humanity's consciousness coming back into source energy to create something new. And because of that, there is this time lapse that happens where they're showing me the hourglass where we all drip through one at a time or few at a time, and then more and more and more come. Or they show me a door opening where one person opens the door into this magnificence, and then others will start to see and start to come through as well. So there is this time thing that's happening, even though time doesn't exist, because we're all free souls choosing how we're going to experience this or not experience it, depending on where your soul's evolution wants to take you. Oh my gosh. Anyways, even I was getting confused with that channeling. Sorry, guys. My head's spinning a bit. So yeah, there's so much more that we can step into or out of once we actually take this power back. So instead of like we are in a consuming reality, and that's saying that's why in the Matrix it was seen that we were consuming ourselves, because we literally are consuming ourselves, and the soul can't reside in a place like that for too long. Another reason why we need a lot of sleep is because the soul likes to, especially in the theta and delta, the soul will be leaving the body and having its own play somewhere else that feels better, because when it enters into the body, it needs a rest every 24 hours, and that's why, or every 12 hours, and that's why you can literally go crazy, because your soul cannot handle being in this reality for too long. Conscious reality, beta state. They're also telling me that channelers can have the ability to be able to be awake and aware of who they are while still being in the same vibration as the alpha state, and even theta, and they could go even to delta. So the more that you can control yourself, the deeper you can go, the more magic you can bring through. So yeah, and some of us have been born straight from being able to do that. So that's why we're still held on to that wisdom. But absolutely everybody has the same brain, has the same ability to be able to do this as well. Is there? Sky, I was forced to recognize my own worth this past month. So much internal struggles, but Bobbie, your words brought tears to my eyes. Oh, I've had exactly the same thing with other people that have helped me. So, I mean, sometimes my guides will lead me to specific people in specific moments, and then you come to your own self-awareness, and it just brings up these emotions of understanding. Oh my God, I let myself fall that far, but it's all good, because we're meant to have fallen that far so that we could find ourselves again, and then we will never be taken advantage of ever again. It's the whole reason why we've gone through this journey, to never ever have this happen again while we are living on earth. And that means we are free again. We are free to explore the human's capacity, being in a human body, and what we can actually achieve and what we can do. And it goes beyond what a logical mind can understand at this moment, but the logical mind will have an acceptance of it once it sees it more and more. If you were born to parents that were telepathic, you wouldn't have any problem as a child to fit into that. A human mind has the ability and the capacity to be telepathic. So if it was that way, that our reality was that we didn't have this gabble of words coming out of our mouth to be able to relay something, and that we come straight from feeling and understanding, it actually gives us even more understanding of each other. And so no lies can be said. Nothing can be deceitful anymore either. So yeah, all of that is gone, and we know who each of us are and where each of us are aligning with. So if you were born into a family that had telepathic parents, you would absolutely be telepathic as a human. It's just that it was lost eons ago, and there were certain beings that came here to teach us language. We actually had to be taught language because we lost our capacity to connect to our soul, because there was a guilt thing that happened that came over, washed over humanity to keep us into this limited consciousness. And the guilt happened after we meddled with too much outside of ourselves and started to destroy other worlds and other realities that we're living in different dimensions. We were creeping into other dimensions with physical bombs and things. We're talking way back. Between Atlantis, Lemuria, and coming into the logical fractions holding us hostage, which was supposed to be. They were directed by or allowed by source energy or ourselves to lock us down so that we could play in this world and not meddle in too much. But to step out of that now, we have to take that power back of knowing that we are also soul and our feelings do count, and that we have a lot more capacity outside of the logical mind just bringing the story over and over and over and over to us. Logical mind, as I've already said before, cannot create a new path. It can only grab from the past and project into the future. So that's why we're asking it to shush for a while, so that we can experiment and challenge ourselves with our intuitive mind. And the intuitive mind is our feeling, how we feel, and using our imagination as well, which holds memory of past lives and so forth, and bringing up things that are beyond this life. If it is in our imagination, it has existed somewhere, but we can take pieces of our imagination, put them together and create new puzzles, create new stories, create new realities. So even if it has kind of existed somewhere else, it's like we're expanding. So it has this unlimited potential as well, because source energy has an unlimited potential. God, whoever you want to call it, prime creator, universe, has the potential of anything. Of course it does. It is God. Right. So yeah, I'm just seeing what else there is that's coming through for now. Anyway, there's a lot of powerful messages. I am going to do a video, by the way, soon, because I did this really cool channeling just 2 mornings ago, and it stopped me in my tracks with what happened yesterday. So yesterday, I don't know if you guys know it, I ended up finding out about a interview that I did I think it was a couple of weeks ago, with an NDE channel. And I said to them right off the bat, why are you asking me to be on your channel? I've not had an NDE experience. I could channel through something about NDE. I could talk about a couple of other things if you want me to. And while I was talking to this lady that was broken English, and I think they kind of use that as clickbait to do what they want on their titles, she just said, tell me how you became, how you got out of a poor situation into a rich situation. So I told her some of those stories. I had no idea that she was actually going to title me as somebody who's had an NDE experience. So I don't like lying. I really repel against it. So I kept sending them messages and saying, hey, please change it because this is not who I am, and this is my self-worth and my integrity of who I am. Been splashed all over the internet. That's wrong. It's just wrong. So in the end, yeah, they changed it. It took them a while to do it, but they did do it by the end of the day, which is fantastic. I stayed in my power and I kept pushing forward and saying, no, don't do this. And in respect, they changed it for me. So now I'm this special person who became poor to rich. But any case, that's the internet, right? And I'm just happy I had a win for myself. So I'm quite excited about that, because these things do happen to us as we go along this journey. We're not in a perfect world. We're in a world where everybody's still trying to find themselves. And so it's you and how you hold your integrity that helps as well. And that's more important. The truth for me is way more important than anything else. And if I ever thought that I was leading you guys astray, I would come straight up with a video and tell you that. I would say, okay, what I said there was wrong. But so far, so good. Yes. Okay, I think I will leave it there though, guys. And don't forget, on Tuesday, I do the tarot reading for fun, because I love playing with tarot. And I have got this other video I'm going to bring up this weekend as well. So, and that one's really juicy. You guys are going to love that one, because it's going into what some certain things that I found in my past actually mean from ancient things that they've actually dug up out of the earth. So I'm really excited to share some of that wisdom with you guys. So until next time, bye.